So thanks so much for having the time to chat.
No problem.
So starting off, like obviously I've watched the documentary, so I have heard you and seen, how important the show is to you and how moved you've been. But I am curious, at what point in your watching experience did it
Mhm.
go from like mild fan to major fan to the level of fandom you have now?
Good question. So I always grew up with Degrassi being around. I'm from Canada, of course, but season 9 was a major turning point for me for two reasons. One, I had started high school for the exact same time, so now I really was going to school, high school, and then coming back and watching Degrassi. And that was the same year that the character Fiona Coyne was introduced. So that's when I went from kind of like casually watching the show to becoming a fan of it. And the quick kind of story of it is that Fiona Coyne ended up telling my life story. She starts the show being like, she's like pretending to have boyfriends, so boys will leave her alone. She's having confusing feelings about her best friends. And then the point for me where it went to mega super fan was a year later in season 10. That's when that whole story that's been building up results in Fiona coming out of the closet. She says to her mom, I'm in love with her and she's a girl. And it took all of those really confusing feelings that I had and made them just make sense in one sentence. And that was when I dived into the show, learned about Linda Schuyler, learned that she was a teacher, and learned that telling these stories was important to her and that she wanted to help kids like me. And that's what took me into being like, I'm going to talk about this show for forever.
That's amazing. And so tell me a little bit about all the ways in which you do talk about the show and like how it has changed your life in that way.
Oh, it's been incredible. So, one of the biggest things that happened is I've always posted about Degrassi. I've been posting online as a fan of the show, just casually. But then, when the reboot was announced in 2022, that eventually got canceled, Annie Clark, the actress who played Fiona Coyne, reached out to me and was like, "You should take advantage of this. Why don't you start a podcast?" And that was the moment where I went from being just like this mega fan to actually being a content creator around
Mm.
Degrassi. And from then on, I've done a podcast that dives into the history and impact of the show. I've talked to fans, creators, actors from the show. I host trivia nights like every 2 months on online. I host TikTok lives where every week we talk about Degrassi. We host watch parties. Every single day, I am doing something that celebrates Degrassi, and it's the best life you could ever live.
That's amazing. Now,
Yeah.
do you feel at a certain point, like, how do you? I guess my fear with something that is a show or that can feel stagnant, even though they've done so many like series and franchise points within the whole show, how do you continue to find more content? Like,
Oh.
I do you just there's a plethora to you. I'm so curious.
It's never ending. Like Degrassi
Right.
hasn't put out a brand new episode in what, like 8 or 9 years now.
Right.
And I have never gone a day without talking about it. First of all, just the amount of people who appeared on the show. Every time I meet someone who worked on it, they have so many stories that I had never heard before. Or even fans. Every fan has that moment or that character or that story that really connects for them. And it helps me see Degrassi in a new way through all those life experiences that I didn't go through. So, I know there's always talks about a reboot may come back, but even if it doesn't, I am going to be talking about Degrassi forever and I will always find something to talk about.
That's amazing. And how did you feel when like Lisa and her team and the Degrassi documentary people reached out to you and what was that connection? Like how was that connection made and how did that feel?
Okay, so if I remember correctly, because this was all kind of a blur, Linda Schuyler hosted my 30th birthday at her house, which was insane. I know. She took piano lessons to learn how to play Happy Birthday, played Happy Birthday for me in front of all of my friends and these Degrassi actors that she surprised me with, and then wheeled out a cart of blue and yellow cupcakes that said Happy Birthday Degrassi Kid. So my mind was a little like, whoa, at this time. But at that party, she had invited Lisa Rideout and people from the documentary, and that was the first kind of connection that I had made with them. So from there, they had asked, would you like to help us do some research for this? I know that they listened to my podcast, which was such an honor for them to do that. And yeah, when it came time to officially sit down and record something together, I was out of my mind. Like it's crazy to go from sitting in my bedroom every night watching Degrassi to now being the person that people want to call when they want to talk about the history and impact of it. I feel so honored that I get to represent the fandom, and I was just freaking out.
Wow.
I
Wow.
know. I don't even get it. I'm even like, should I fact check that? Because that feels too crazy.
That's
But it's
wild.
real.
Congratulations on all of that. That's
Insane.
paramount. That's
I have
amazing.
to tell you my present. She gave me her own personal Degrassi street sign. Isn't that insane? That's Linda Schuyler's Degrassi street sign. That's just in my bedroom. Like that's
That's
insane.
amazing.
She
So
loves
did
me and I love
they
her.
all went to PEI?
No, I went to Toronto. I
Oh,
went
you
to
went to
Toronto.
okay. Okay.
The quick little story of it is I was for my 30th birthday was planning a trip to Toronto where fans like my online friends who I met in the community could come meet me, and I took them to Degrassi Street, Degrassi High, and all these
Right.
locations. And then Linda heard about it and was like, "Would you mind if I hosted your birthday while you're here?" And I was like,
That's
"That's fine."
amazing.
It
That's
was insane.
amazing. Because yes, I had heard that you were doing, so do you do these tours semi regularly too? Or was it like for the birthday?
That was for my birthday, and then I'm doing another one. But the reason I'm doing that is because there's this rumor that Centennial College is closing down where they filmed Degrassi High.
Mm.
So I kind of reached back out to my online friends and was like, "Do we want to go see Degrassi High maybe for the last time?" So
Oh,
it's not something that I like. I don't like sell tickets or like do a big thing. It's kind of just like I hang out with all these people online every day. We love Degrassi. Do you want to come do this cool thing with me?
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And have you had a chance to watch the documentary since being in it?
Yes, I've seen the screener for it. Yeah.
And so would you just without any spoilies, your impression as a super fan, and did you learn anything? Because that's what I want to know if there were things
Good
that you somehow did not
question.
know.
Well, the biggest takeaway is okay, let me think about this. So, my reaction to seeing my part is I bawled my eyes out. I could not believe, um, I don't know, I just didn't expect to be in it in such like a profound way, I
Mhm.
guess. Especially when I found out Drake was going to be in it, because at the time that I filmed it, he wasn't. So I thought the first person who's going to get cut out of this is the fan. But they didn't cut me out, and I got to appear in it. So that was nice. Um, my key takeaway, did I learn anything? I think what I mainly learned is I knew all the facts in the documentary, of course, but the way that the actors felt about those facts is what I had never known. And hearing their kind of first person telling of all these things that had kind of just been trivia bits to me for so long was really impactful in the documentary.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And the question that I'm asking everyone is sort of to speak on this lightning in a bottle, the fact that like it can't really be recreated because like the rules and parameters that exist now, but also the way that the storytelling was so honest and so vulnerable in the 80s, in the 90s, in the 2000s. So can
Yeah.
you speak to like why you think it worked so well? And like I know the story that had a grip on you, but why you think in a more, high level way that it captured so many fans.
I think the thing about Degrassi and the team behind it is they kept the same rule book, and the rule book was always tell stories for kids about kids from their perspective. So no matter what generation you're watching, all of the stories are at the kids level. They're taking the kids' stories seriously, and they're not trying to tell you what's right or what's wrong. They're trying to say, "Hey, if you're in this situation, here's what your options are and here's what you can do." Or if your friend is in this situation, here's how you can be empathetic to them. So I think Degrassi can exist again. And I think as long as they follow those same core values that they've had from the very beginning, Degrassi will be able to live forever and come back in as many generations as it can.
And you will be there ready to talk about it every day.
Oh, I'm going to be there. Even if it never comes back, I'm going to be here, but I hope it comes back. I mean, I would love for it to come back.
Awesome.